I'm Jennifer, and we are here with Her Data Talks. I have my co-host Danushki with me today, and we have a very special guest. Danushki, do you want to introduce her?
Yes, absolutely. Today we have Chantilly Jaggernauth with us. Chantilly is obviously no stranger to the data and Tableau world. She is the VP of Data Visualization and Training at Lovelytics. She's also the founder of the wonderful Millennials and Data program. And of course, she's one of the fabulous Tableau Zen masters. So thank you, Chantilly. We are so grateful that you're joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Chantilly. I think perspective from me is, you being a Zen master. I think a lot of people would be really excited to know your data journey and kind of how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, it's a funny story. So I started using Tableau, or going on this journey about 10, 11 years ago. Now 11 years now. At Howard University. So I was an information systems major at Howard School of Business. And it was very early on within my college journey. And I had a professor who gave us an assignment and just said, make sense of this data, like, create some charts, tell us, find some insight in this data. And at that point, we had only taken like an Excel class. And this data set was just way too massive to open in Excel. So the assignment was due the next day, and it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. I had a couple of hours left, and I just went to Google, right? Every college student's best friend, and I searched what can analyze data for free, big data for free, and Tableau was actually an ad at the top. And I saw that there was a free student license that, if you use your school address, you can get an account for up to a year. And I was able to knock out my assignment after I watched like 1 or 2 videos that night. And I was, I created these charts. I thought it was just so cool, right? Like numbers have always intrigued me, but I thought it was so cool that I was able to come up with this insight in such a short period of time. From there, I just talked to, so while I was in school, I was working with Johnson & Johnson at the time, and I was able to just talk to my manager, my advisor, and say, hey, have y'all heard of Tableau? Do you use data? Like, what is this thing? And I started working on projects at J&J. So if I fast forward, I started working on projects at J&J that involved Tableau, that involved data analytics. And really my experience came from just like real world experience and just searching everything online whenever I encountered a challenge that I faced. So yeah, that was my journey, a student at Howard.
That's awesome. That's actually so inspiring.
Yeah, I love that you said, what was it, 4 a.m. that you were, okay, let me click on this Tableau.
Yeah, let me do my homework.
I love that.
That's awesome. And then something that when anyone looks at your Tableau profile, something that immediately jumps out is your design style. How and where did you start with your sense for designing dashboards?
Yeah, so my sense came, I would say, in 2015, 2016. So I was using Tableau from about 2010, 2011. And at that point, I was basically just creating like your standard Tableau visualizations, nothing special, just a mock-up that looks really like Excel, but in Tableau. And I'll never forget, I was in a training at work, and I searched like Tableau. I searched for Tableau in Google, and I saw Tableau Public. Now I was only familiar with Tableau, the product, and I didn't know anything about like the public side of it. So I went on the site, and I think at that time they had like the viz of the day, maybe on the main site, or I don't know. I just came across a visualization. I'll never forget. It was the viz of the day. It was analysis of the Hubway bike share data. I think Tableau was running a competition at that time, or there was a competition that somebody was running on who can analyze this data. So it was like a viz competition, and I came across Brian Halloran's visualization. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, like that can't be Tableau, because we're so used to seeing visualizations that look like, standard bar charts, don't really have any images, lack of color, like your standard blue and orange palette. And I saw this and I was like, no way, that's a Tableau viz. Like maybe they exported it from like Adobe or something and then brought it into Tableau. And I was able to download its work. And that's when I saw like, wow, this is Tableau. So I learned about like images. I learned about various dashboard objects. I just learned at that point how to just dive a little bit deeper into the design side of things. So I started, going more and more through Tableau Public, finding visualizations that, intrigued me. I was reverse engineering a lot of things, and I picked up on a couple of things. Every dashboard that I liked had a couple of items with them, right? They were correctly laid out, right? They had a good format to them. They used color very well. They used icons and stuff to draw additional attention. They were very strategic with their fonts. And I was like, all right, I'm going to continue to do these 4 or 5 things for every dashboard that I create going forward. And that's pretty much what I did. So I honed in like a infographic type of style to my dashboards. And that's kind of just how I've been designing since then, since 2015, 2016.
So it's become kind of your style guide now.
It is definitely my style guide, creating templates, using color. So personally, I stay away from data art, right? But my visualizations in particular, you'll see that there are a bunch of bar charts and line charts that they just have like colors and icons and things, just very simple things that I feel like anybody can do to make things stand out. So I have that infographic look and feel even for my business dashboard. So I would say that's definitely my design style.
Which is I think it's such a beautiful design style. I've looked at a couple of yours because I was building an HR dashboard, me and Danushki, and certainly some of the ones that you put out there were inspiration when we were looking at that, just because of that unique style, that infographic style, which I think that how clean it is, it makes it so easy for any end user ultimately. So
Exactly.
I love it.
Thank you.
So can you give us, I know I've seen, and we've talked briefly before, but I think the majority of the data community has seen Tableau featured public authors recently for millennials and data. But for anybody that doesn't know, can you give us a little background on that and what prompted you to start the program?
Yeah, so Millennials in Data is a nonprofit organization that I started in 2018, and I started this program at Howard University. So there were 2 things that really prompted me to start this program. One was that at that point in my data career, I had been in between Johnson & Johnson and Comcast for about 8 years, 7 or 8 years at this point in my career. And one thing that I noticed was that I was developing all of these Tableau dashboards, developing these things that were getting seen by key stakeholders. And the questions that I would get asked sometimes were not related to Tableau, but were more so related to like visualization and data literacy. And then I also noticed that there was a little bit of a gap with, folks who knew how to do this. Like I was always the go-to person for these large organizations, all right? So it's like, wow, there have to be like other people who are very capable of doing this. So I decided that I wanted to fill this gap myself, this data literacy gap, this analytical skills gap myself. And I wanted to start at the school level. So particularly I started at Howard University because that is where I taught myself Tableau. And that's also where I encountered, data, but we didn't have a data program that I could continue to like practice and learn these skill sets from. So I started at Howard with the idea that within 16 weeks, I will teach any student that was within the business spectrum, how they can visualize, analyze, understand, and think critically about data. And at the end of the 16 weeks, I'll get them certified in Tableau so that they have something on their resume that they can showcase, for their skills. Our first program went super well. We had 10 participants. They all passed. They all graduated. A lot of them were able to venture off into like marketing analytics, financial analytics, all because they had like this skill set. Some of them received interviews and calls just because I was able to show them how to create a Tableau Public, portfolio so that, recruiters can see their work. So fast forward, we just started our MAD 5 cohort as of last week. So we are, as of last week, we've accepted about 75 students into the program. Yeah, so we hit 50 in December, and we just accepted 25 into this last cohort, which is the biggest cohort to date. It's a global cohort now, so we have students in Ireland and Japan, and we've also expanded to the professional spectrum. So, yeah.
Can I just say,
amazing.
I just think you're so amazing. So I know. I'm like, I don't know if I want to cry or not, but I think that's so amazing. You're so fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
The idea of, I think that speaks to me in so many different levels as a mom, and then as a professional, to have someone to be able to touch your life that way, be able to help you see a career path in a future that you may not have seen or realized yourself. So
Yeah.
Bravo to you, congratulations to you, and thank you, because you're that's just amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
um, and I think Danushki and I, we've had so many fantastic mentors, but a lot of times we talk about just the challenges of being a female in the data industry. One, it's a bit intimidating to enter. We've received nothing but support with launching the Her Data platform, but I'm sure you have a unique perspective being a minority female in the data industry. I would love to know, how have you managed? Have you had challenges? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I've definitely encountered several challenges throughout my career. I would say definitely from being a female, definitely from being a minority, and also just being a subject matter expert at a young age, right? So that's another like age bias. We can add that into the equation as well. I would say that throughout my career, at the times that I would say the biggest challenge that I felt was finding someone in this space who looked like me, who could mentor me, right? And that's why I started MAD, so that I can be a mentor to other individuals who look like me and want to join this community. So when I first, joined the community, and when I first got involved, I was literally, I would say, like the only Black female data analyst in the Tableau community that I knew of, right? I mean, there might have been someone, but when I talk about from the community aspect, I was the only person. So it was a little challenging to get a mentor or to have someone to talk to. And I made it my mission at that point to make sure that I could be that for somebody else coming up. Now, from a career perspective, I definitely faced it when I was in certain rooms, delivering presentations and whatnot. But at that point, I would have not only female mentors, but I would have powerful male mentors who were able to speak up on my behalf. So I would say if anybody is faced kind of with that predicament, sometimes you have to find those advocates, those allies, those individuals who can, say, hey, she's speaking, that she has a good idea, right? Let her have the floor, because it is going to be hard, but having a mentor and just opening up yourself to that can be amazing.
That's amazing. And I find you so inspirational. So thank you for sharing. And thank you again for everything that you've done for the data community.
Thank you.
Truly. I mean, obviously, from everything you said just now, you have had such a huge impact on so many people, including us, of course. Now, was that your goal when you started off? I mean, you did say that, it was obviously selfless. You were trying to find other people like you to do what you could do. But was this your end goal? And if not, what was your end goal? Or was this just a wonderful coincidence?
Millennials in data was always an end goal of mine. So since I was younger, I'll never forget in kindergarten when you have to do that presentation on what you want to be when you grow up. Mine was always, I wanted to be a teacher, right? But as I went through school, I realized that the teachers that had the biggest impact on me were the ones who came from the real world and they didn't just go from like the educational side of it to the classroom. So I had like more respect, and I was more interested in those types of professors and teachers because they could provide me with that real world perspective. So I wanted to make sure that once I got to the classroom that I also could be that to my students. And I have a motto whenever I'm learning something new. It's learn, build, influence. So while I was in school, while I was at Johnson & Johnson and Comcast, I focused on the learn and the build side. And once I got to a point where I felt like I had enough of a skill set that I wanted to teach other individuals, I was very capable of doing that. That's when I started to dive into the influence part of it. So that's always my motto, or my building blocks, what I call my building blocks to success: learn, build, influence. So now, millennials in data and kind of where I'm at in my journey is definitely on the influence side of things.
That's awesome. And I mean, trust me, I have seen your influence in front of my eyes when you presented at the 2019 Tableau conference. After you were done, there were people like jumping stairs trying to get to you. And I did not see that in other talks. So that's amazing. And then the second instance was I was talking at a DC tug on a panel, and half the panelists were from millennials in data. And they were just talking about, every step that they took made them better. And literally that's because of you. So Seriously, kudos. You are literally amazing.
Much.
And so with all that you've accomplished, what's next? Right?
So I would say currently I have my dream job, right? So I started working at Lovelytics and moved back to DC. So it's always a goal of mine to come back to DC. I'll say I have my dream job right now, my dream boss. We're pretty cool, and I'm back in DC. I've been here for about a year and a half. So professionally, I would love to continue to impact and build out things for the organization that I'm with, continue to influence, professionally from that standpoint. But then from millennials and data standpoint, I am continuing to grow the program. So now that we've had so many individuals graduate, they're now looking for like advanced training. Now that they're on the job using this, like they want to know like what's next, what else can I get out of MAD? Looking to continue to grow and have additional trainers so that we can let more students into the program. We had about 50 students apply for the last cohort, and I was only able to accept 15 of them. And then I have 10 professionals as well. So I would love to have another group or another trainer that I can bring in and continue to, accept in more individuals. So I want to touch the high school cohorts as well, because I definitely think that you don't need to wait until you get to college to understand how data can impact not only your life, but your professional career. So I definitely want to start to help high schoolers and even middle schoolers think about data, right? This is a field that I learned about once I got to college, but I would love to learn about data like in high school and middle school. So definitely looking to now impact that group as well.
That speaks to my heart. Danushki and I have talked so much, and a big part of my journey and my story was that initial influence and exposure. For me, it's exposure. I didn't discover data analytics until well past, I had already deep into an HR career and thought, okay, why didn't I think about this? Why wasn't that on my mind? I grew up in a traditional household that my dad dreamt of me being a secretary. So yeah. I think exposure in, like you said, high school and middle school ages. I'm talking to my nieces and nephews about data. I don't think you can dream it if someone doesn't expose you to it. Exactly. And then have those individuals that you can look to as role models that, like you said before, mirror yourself really helps, because I didn't have that. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, so it wouldn't be a Her Data Talks without a rapid fire round questions.
Okay.
So are you ready to answer 5, some ridiculous, some not ridiculous questions that pops in your mind?
Yeah, so it's just like one answer, like just like blurt it out.
Whatever first comes to your mind, and I don't know if you saw the list, but some can be a bit ridiculous, and we try to just have fun with it.
All right, let's go.
All right, let's do it. Okay, first question. What candy bar best describes your personality and why?
Snickers. It's always a surprise when you open it, I guess. Like, like it's hard on the outside, soft on the inside. I think that describes me perfectly.
There you go.
That might be one of my favorite candies too, so perfect.
Yeah, I actually said Sneakers too because I'm a little nutty inside.
Yeah, add that to the list too.
Awesome.
Yeah. Next question. What is your favorite Tableau Public viz ever?
Brian Halloran subway visualization, because it inspired me to, do my whole design journey.
That's awesome. I kind of figured you'd say that when you talked about that viz. Okay. Who is your data viz idol?
Steve Wexler. So I was always intimidated by Steve at first, and then when you get to know Steve, he's such a sweetheart. Right. So Steve is definitely my idol. He's so knowledgeable. He, about data visualizations. He's always helping me, giving me feedback, critiquing, and he's grown to be like a mentor over the years.
Nice. I love to hear him talk. He's just so funny and knowledgeable and everything in one kind of deal. Okay. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Or if you don't sing
I'm not much of a singer.
What do you sing in the car when the windows are up and nobody is watching?
Oh man, I'm not a singer. I'm a podcaster, maybe.
What is it?
We'll say Beyonce, Before I Let You Go. So the remix that she just did.
Nice. Okay, great one. Now that is a hard one to sing for sure.
We won't ask you to sing it, but
All right. Last question. What is your most favorite Tableau tip?
My most favorite Tableau tip is with images, when you bring them into Tableau, if they seem a little blurry, the way that you can unblur them is to add the @ symbol. So rename the file and just put at the end of the end of the file name, the @ symbol, scale, percentage symbol, and then 2x. Or it might be the other way around, but it's like percentage scale @ 2x, I think is what it is. So
What?
basically you're scaling your image, like to unblur it. So it's actually the percentage symbol, scale, the @ symbol, and then the number 2 and X.
okay, I'm trying that.
Yeah.
I'm excited to try that.
No, tell me if it works for you.
I have
That's
had,
awesome.
Jeff Schaefer tell me that a couple of times. So I can't act surprised because
I've not heard it. I love it. This is fantastic. There are so many great tips out there that I feel like even if I've heard it once or twice, you forget. Like there's so many hidden gems. I love
Yeah.
it.
yeah, totally.
That's a great one though. I can't wait to play with it.
Yeah, well, Chantilly, thank you so much for joining us. I can't tell you how valuable this call is to us and hopefully to a lot of the people that watch it as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you. And when is your next cohort start, or did you just start a cohort?
We
So if
just
people want more
started one.
information. Okay.
Yeah. So Mad 6 will launch in the fall. So we run them every spring and fall.
Okay. So
Yeah.
anybody wanting more information should reach out.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
no problem.
Chantilly.
Bye.